The story happened a long time ago, when the king who ruled this land died. The prime minister and governor are now responsible for protecting the princess. Utawarerumono swore allegiance to lead the clan to glory. They fight constantly for territory. Each race has its own god. The war ends when there is a final winner. But ironically, after the end, he realized that he was also an evil element. That's why he fell asleep by himself, waiting for someone to wake him up. To start the battle to protect the princess, Hakuoro chose a village deep in the mountains as a base. Hakuoro's sister ran to tell him to summon Hakuoro. He is the biggest authority here and they are illegal immigrants, so you have to be careful. Hakuoro walked through the village. Hakuoro did not expect everyone to agree with him. The lord is just an old man who lives day by day. This is a remote countryside, there has never been a war, but they are still determined to protect the princess. The lord left all authority to Hakuoro. Hakuoro ran to visit the princess. She was more stable but still didn't know what kind of poison was so difficult to help her regain her voice. During this time in the capital, Hakuoro was accused of treason against the country, and there were rumors that he took the princess away. Together they ran to the palace gate to confirm whether the princess was safe or not. At this time, the 8 generals, Kidos, appeared to take the princess out to meet everyone. But she covered her face so no one knew if she was a real princess or not. The army of the 8 generals is ready, they will go to destroy Hakuoro now. All the girls that Hakuoro brought to this village were princesses of different tribes. They were sad but all believed that Hakuoro would be able to restore the revival of his clan. Hakuoro walked around the village. When he met anyone in trouble, he helped. At night Hakuoro buried his head in a pile of letters. The princess brought him tea. She burst into tears soon after. How can everyone be so calm in such a situation? Isn't it a small thing for everyone to fall down on Hakuoro? Hakuoro encouraged her. Hakuoro is such a happy person to be hurt by so many people. However, Hakuoro will live forever in the fan he left behind. That night, while sleeping, the 2 maids announced that Ugi had returned. The imperial army intercepted the group of migrants returning to this village, including children. Hakuoro summons the people. He will personally lead troops to stand in their way. However, they are the royal army. Opposing means treason. This is a crossroads where everyone has the right to make their own decisions. The princesses all agreed to fight with him. They will join hands to protect the princess and rebuild the mighty Yamato Empire. Episode 2. Enemy troops are very aggressive, they attack even unarmed people. The Ugi sisters arrived. Noshori stood to shoot arrows to support her brother. Ugi alone jumped on the scale to beat the soldiers. They split into several groups, Yak with the other princesses. All pledge allegiance to Hakuoro. Even the sobbing girl Suru is stronger. If she doesn't kill her enemies, she pushes them down the cliff. Yak drew his sword and began to relax his tendons. In the ambush, but on the front lines, the kid Kiwiryu was about to succumb to their attack when Hakuoro appeared in time. Now it's time to take care of the rest. The enemy general, Bakoi, hates Hakuoro because he is superior to him in every way. This guy declares war on Hakuoro and I don't even remember who he is. Bakoi became more and more bloody. The enemy began to attack. Bakoi was very confident. He arranged for soldiers to block Hakuoro's way back. There was a scream, and his group of soldiers hiding in the dust fell. Now he was surrounded. With this attack so strong Bakoi could only run away. Hakuoro takes everyone home. Returning to the village, Kiwiryu was heartbroken when he could not protect the people. Hakuoro tries to cheer the boy up. Ugi ran over to have something urgent to report to Hakuoro. It was the fake princess thing. Hakuoro foresaw this. They wanted to kill the real princess, so creating a fake princess was understandable. There was nothing they could do right now, only strengthening their defenses. Hakuoro assigned each of them one job. Ugi continued on his way to the imperial capital to watch the news. Hakuoro ran to the princess and told the whole situation. Meanwhile, in the capital of the 8 generals is taking place. The defeat of the other Bakoi proves that Hakuoro's army is not trivial. The Kidos guy didn't let anyone go to the army anymore. He planned everything to take the country into his own hands. The next day Kiwiryu ran to report. There was news from Ugi. One of the 8 Deco generals is leading troops to this place. This guy used the excuse of maneuvering to come here. He discovered everything that Kidos did. The fact that Hakuoro is still alive proves that the princess in the imperial capital is a fake. He came to kill Hakuoro and bring back the real princess. According to Ugi's report, the Deco marched straight without any arrangement. His number was very large. What made Hakuoro afraid was not the number of troops, but the ability of Hakuoro's tactician. This guy used to be a friend of Haku's. Fortunately, if Deko marched straight like this, it would mean that Hakuoro wasn't involved this time. This time, it was not to chase them away, but to deter those who dared to point their swords at the princess. Just as Ostor speculated, the white-faced Hakuoro didn't want to participate in this battle. The citadel here is very strong and impenetrable, which also makes him feel somewhat secure. All preparations were completed. Ostor urged our troops to prepare for battle. Episode 3, the night before the battle begins, Ostor goes to see his sister. Now she didn't want to talk to anyone, so she chased him away. Deko's name gave him a fierce success. Ostor tried to boost morale of the soldiers. Everyone wants to go to war. Ostor doesn't think now is not the time. Yak sneered maybe it was time for him to act. Yak and his soldiers called out Deko's name. Yak began to provoke. The angry Deka mobilized his soldiers to attack the siege as quickly as possible. He also mobilized the siege tower to join the battle. Ugi laughed, not expecting this guy to be so easily provoked. Everything is within Ostor's calculation. Now is the time when they will counterattack. Everyone raises their bows and shoots continuously. The Deka continued to send his troops forward. Nothing could harm him. Hakuoro stopped him, but the Deka sent the soldiers to continue fighting. Only now did Ostor let them draw their swords to fight. Yak leaves his son in the care of Princess Rulu. Enemy troops have arrived. Ostor ordered to bring out special weapons, that is oil and a wave of missiles. The thick smoke and dust destroyed their siege tower. Enemy troops run like ducks, trampling on the corpses of their comrades. The Deka's eyes widened, not understanding what was going on. Ostor doesn't spare these guys. Tactician Hakuoro also turned pale. Ostor goes out to get the head of Deka. He will show the others the consequences of daring to point his sword at the princess. The Deka couldn't do any more at this point. Even the tactician Hakuoro accepted. Deka decided to abandon her soldiers and return to the imperial capital. However, Ostor did not let him go so easily. He blocked his way back. The Deka was now trembling and begging for his life. Of course Ostor did not. At this moment, one of his chariots came running. This guy excitedly jumped on his carriage to show them his deck. Deka opened the cage and immediately released a monster. They were all very surprised. Unlike the other soldiers, this was troublesome. Deka asked the beast to eat everyone, but he was the first to enter it. Can't let this beast do it on its own. The two of them attack together, but it doesn't work. Seeing that, Ostor used his magic to lock it, just waiting for that to kill the monster. When the Deka soldiers saw that their master was dead, they fled in chaos. This is their victory. That evening Ostor went to meet the tactician Hakuoro. It was a pity to let his talent go to waste, so Ostor invited Hakuoro to join his army and protect the princess. Hakuoro immediately recognized that the current Ostor was a fake, who had never spoken so coldly before. Ostor snapped. He defended himself by having to change to adapt. Hakuoro heard that Haku was dead and left crying, and Ostor did not send him back to the village to celebrate.